You're listening to another Geek Pride podcast.
Okay, hi everybody, Matt Geary for the Geek Pride cast Infinity War special on this Thursday eve. Nearly didn't make it. First off, it seems that Thanos' click of his fingers and knocked out half of our podcasters. We had like 10 of us. There's like 5. My brother's still not around. I don't know where he is. He'll probably jump in at some point in time. And
something quite poetic about that, man. You know.
Yeah, just. And then my internet died. Like literally just like 15 minutes before we're going to go in. It's like I'm not going to work. And I did everything, and it was just like, nah, I'm not going to do that. And then. Yeah, I had to unplug something. I'm back in, and it worked. But here we go. We're live. We're here. We're alive. And obviously, spoilers. We're going to talk about Infinity War, maybe do some other bits and bobs. We'll talk about Infinity War pretty much in depth. No doubt, lots of Matt bashing about to happen. But yeah, so. We'll talk about it. If you haven't seen it, then it's probably best you leave now. Yeah, let me just check to make sure my bro's not online. Mark, no, he's still not around. I think his computer, but hopefully he'll jump in at some point in time. I'll text him and just tell him to jump in when he gets his jump in when you're ready. Jump in when you are ready. Right, okay, so with me on this good eve to talk about Avengers' most recent film, the climax of 10 years of Marvel greatness, is Batfink himself, Mark Canty.
Hello there.
The beardy Northern Irishman, David Foy.
Howdy.
And the Welsh Hulk.
Fuck you, Geary.
Sorry. I was trying to think of something funnier, and then just sort of kind of caught myself and went, I've got nothing else to say here right now.
I'm a classic rogue, man.
That would be the first time for everything, wouldn't it, Matt?
Yes,
Pretty
that
much,
would be.
yeah.
That would be, yeah. Josh, King of the Geeks. Where did that come from, by the way?
I seem to look like Kevin Smith every now and again, so it kind of just spun from that. And around my area of Swansea, I am pretty much the king of geeks. So, c'est la vie, such is life.
You're very Welsh.
Thank you very much. You're very Irish.
I know. Oh, tell you what, man.
Root drinking twat.
I, you know what? Before we came on, I had like all this preparation. I was like, right, I'm going to start early. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to have great intros for everybody and stuff. And I had them all thought out. And then everything just fell apart in the last minute. And my mind just went, bleh, bleh. The cool thing is, though, on a completely random note, because I'm selling my house, I got a guy around to view yesterday and his girlfriend, and they came around again today for a second viewing, but they brought their parents. And the dad plays cricket in the cricket ground where I am, and goes to the gaming store I go to all the time, and he loves my man cave. He was like, "Yeah, love this man cave," and I was like, "Yes, appreciation." Yeah. He loved it. So his son and the daughter-in-law like walked around, and I sat and talked models to him. My brother's asking how he joins in when we're out of the salon. Come online and I'll add you. Okay, so how are we going to start it off? Okay, I'll tell you what we'll do. So to start off with the Infinity War malarkey, I will start off with my view on it. Now I've put a I've put a lengthy article. I've taken a page out of Mr. Foy's book and wrote a lengthy article on something. And
I'm a bad influence. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the thing is, I just go, oh man, you're too long. But yeah, I just can't help myself either. When you get into it, you're just like, yeah, you can't stop yourself. You're just like, I'm ranting right now.
Dude, it's ridiculous. I mean, like the one that I'm, like the epic that I'm in the middle of at the minute, I think I've rewritten like 3 times. I cannot stop myself. I'm about 7,000 words in. It's not good. It's really not good. I'm gonna have to cut out a little bit, but yeah.
Sorry about this. I'm gonna have to add my brother in here because he's messaging me and stuff. So bear with me, one of these ladies and gentlemen. While I'm doing this, what have you been up to this week? Mr. Foy, start us with you, and then everybody else jump in while I sort this out.
Not a lot. Still recovering from the shitfest that was Belfast Film and Comic Con 2 weeks ago.
Yes, explain that. Right. So go on, explain that, Dave.
So Northern Ireland isn't exactly the hotbed of geekness, but it's been getting better over the last few years. Some of the bigger sort of convention companies, MCM and Showmasters, have started running cons over here, and they've been relatively successful. Pulling in a load of people, not attracting the types of stars that you would get in the mainland cons or even the Dublin cons, but pretty decent. But this year, it's really hit the skids. MCM Belfast was cancelled, although there's rumblings that it might come back, but it was cancelled at the start of the year. And then there was rumblings that Belfast Film and Comic Con, which is normally a 2-day event, was cut down to 1 day, and that literally no funding was going towards it, no stars are being attracted, but it would still go ahead. And we just thought, oh fuck it, we'll go ahead, we'll go along just for the crack, go and check out the event, meet up with friends. It's in the Titanic building, which is our convention center, massive building. Every single year previously when this event has been on, it's been packed with masses of stalls, really decently organized. This year we turned up, paid our £7 each, and walked in, and the place was literally a fifth full, with about 30 stalls in the middle of it, and everything else was just empty space. Oof. It was an absolute travesty of even simple things like, the stars. I think there was only like 4 people there. They hadn't even bothered to print out when people would be doing Q&A sessions or when people would be doing photo sessions or anything like that. There was no PA. There was literally proper PA. There was literally a small lamp with a microphone and an overhead projector. And it was just an absolute disgrace of an event. They've been getting absolutely slaughtered since then. The rumor going around is that it's essentially been a tax write-off for Showmasters, who are obviously trying to put as much funding as they can into the London event. But they're running these regional events now just as a tax write-off to generate funds just to the London con. And looking at that, I can see why.
Mate, I saw that photograph, and I promise everybody he's here to watch to listen to the Infinity War stuff. It will start soon, but I saw that photograph, and I actually thought that was just sort of like a bit of a joke, or you were there early or something, and it was literally nothing there. How they could even justify that as a convention is beyond me. It's actually disgraceful how they could even. I would actually demand my money back. It was ridiculous.
I'll be honest. Someone described it better than I could by saying that it was essentially an average Forbidden Planet store with all of the content spread over 30 tables. That's essentially what it was.
Fucking great.
If it was, the usual pop figures, Pokemon, merch, but literally that was it. And I feel really sorry because, there was quite a few local vendors who I really like, and we're obviously trying to make some sort of business and trying to improve the experience for the people over there. But it was just a disgrace. I'm going to try and post a photo up here so people can see if this actually works.
While he's doing that, my brother has joined us. Michael, hello.
Hello.
Computer.
Sorry for the delay. Technical problems.
It's all right. I
As
think,
always.
I think we mentioned. I think Thanos had us. Where literally everything was going wrong. Everything was going wrong.
I've been on the computer for about the past hour and a half. Just sort of, I got like a new webcam and was sorting bits and pieces out with that. And then the computer decided all of a sudden that it wanted to apply updates and take about 45 minutes to actually put them on. I was like, you got to be joking me, of all days. I was like one podcast that I really, really want to be on. I've got, just Infinity War, mania sort of going on and couldn't get on. So I was actually quite relieved whenever you said that you were having trouble with your internet as well.
Yeah, so Gary Scullion, I'm from Sneaky Zebra, has just finished doing his Infinity War podcast. Gary, if you're online and you've finished and you're listening to this at this moment in time, jump on, sir. I'll have another
Join
person.
us, Gary.
Join us, Gary.
It's about to go off, Gary.
Join us, Gary. Right. Okay. So, right. What I'm going to do then is I will explain myself. I will explain the article which I have sort of put online.
Yes, please do.
Controversial. To say the least.
Yeah, I will put my point. I will put my point across. Here, this is going to be a regimented and sophisticated debate with none of that shenanigans going on. We will. There's a lot of people here, so we're going to have to take our turn. Right. Okay.
Matthew. Yeah.
So I will say my piece, and I'm not going to go into as much depth as I do in my article. I will, but it's there on the website. But this is it. Okay. So we've all gone and we've seen Infinity War, and it is absolutely amazing. But yeah, I was slightly disappointed with the ending. To the point where I was so hyped throughout the entire film. Like, I was just going, this is fucking amazing. I'm enjoying this so much. Thanos is an amazing bad guy just because he was so measured and so calculating and so, you kind of understood him in a way. He wasn't being a bad guy in like a Joker fashion and he just wanted the world to burn. In a sort of sick and twisted way, he is trying to save the universe by a sort of, if I destroy half of it, more resources, things like that. So the whole thing I loved. I love Thanos as a bad guy. I loved the whole thing. I thought the comedy was very measured. It wasn't like in Thor Ragnarok, which was like completely, as much as it was super funny, it was way over the top, and I think it took the edge off the sort of more poignant parts. I think this had a good sort of level. What?
Bullshit.
Well, anyway, that's probably another thing that we will sort of disagree on. But basically, I thought that the comedy in Ragnarok was maybe a bit over the top slightly, which took off the edge of the poignant parts. This, in Infinity War, it was more measured. It was funny, but you also got some really good sort of hard-hitting and emotional parts, which weren't taken away from by the comedy. But as time went on, now we all felt that Thanos was going to be a massive threat, and we knew that there was going to potentially be deaths. Now there was it was rumors, and everybody's thinking it's going to be Captain America or it's going to be Iron Man. Then obviously we get hit with Loki gets killed, and obviously it's Heimdall first, then Loki, and you're like, holy shit! And it's like kind of like Transformers the animated movie when everybody's getting killed off at the very start, and you're just like, what the fuck's going on? And that shit, brilliant. Really, it works because you don't know they have any other movies coming up and stuff. You're pretty sure those deaths are going to be deaths.
Right.
As
Whoa. You cannot compare the death of Optimus Prime in the Transformers animated film to anything that happens in the first 5 minutes. Are you fucking insane? That scene will forever haunt me the rest of my fucking days.
You got
He hasn't
the
reached
touch,
Optimus Prime yet.
do.
He's
You
talking
got
about
the
the initial
power.
battle scene.
Yeah.
That's it more than anything else.
Anyway, silence your tongues. You can interject when I finish my piece.
Pish.
So basically, we've got a couple of deaths. Then obviously Gamora gets it later on. You're like, holy shit. I thought the struggle between Thanos within himself. It was slightly obvious that was going to happen, but I thought that was a good point. Then at the very end, right, we've got a battle. We've got the Iron Man's fighting him. He gets stabbed. You're like, fucking hell, they're actually going to kill Iron Man off. They don't. Which is finally, I like Iron Man. You're like, oh shit, he didn't die, so maybe Cap will get it. They go to Wakanda, and Cap's basically fighting him. He just gets knocked out. And you're like, shit, they didn't kill either of them. Interesting. And then the whole thing proceeds, and it's getting a bit more sort of like, are they going to actually defeat him? And then Thor comes flying in, like Thor is one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful sort of Marvel hero they've got. Flies in, acts in, and then he just said, you should have gone for the head, and does that. And I was like, fucking yes, that's brilliant. I thought that was amazing. I was just like, holy shit, that just happened. He's won the fucking thing. And then something sort of strange happens, and instead of having characters who you might have thought were going to die, you've got big characters like Black Panther, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, and some of the other tertiary characters getting knocked off, and you're like, what the fuck's going on? And for me, that took the edge off the entire film, because it was like, if they, like I explained in the article, if they killed off, like if they kind of gone, well, we saved Iron Man, we saved Captain America, but then they they disintegrate, one of them disintegrates, and then maybe you get a clip of Hawkeye with his family, and then something stops, and then he evaporates, and you get a few other tertiary characters, and maybe one of the other big ones who you don't know has got a movie coming up, then it would have hit harder and would have made you feel sort of more like, what the fuck did I just watch? Oh my god, are they actually going to survive? Are they going to come back? Whereas that Spider-Man's got a film coming up. They've been in talks for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Black Panther's going to get a new film and stuff. So you already are assured that everything's going to get reversed. And it's like, you move on to this next film. So I instead of coming out of the film where I'm just like, like Red Wedding, where I'm just shell-shocked and like, holy fuck, I don't know what to do with myself here, I've come out kind of going, yeah, that was a good movie, but I feel like it shied off towards the end. And
Matt,
well, 1 minute, let me finish, and then you can
okay.
You can fire in. So I feel like it shied off towards the end, and it's like the next film is going to basically be them doing a quantum leap, putting right what once went wrong, sort of thing, them trying to basically bring everything back. Because Spider-Man's going to come back, and Black Panther's going to come back, and you know what? They might kill Captain America, or they might kill Iron Man in the next one, but it won't have the same poignancy, it won't have the same sort of oomph, because in this one, Infinity War, it was like everything to be lost. Whereas in the next one, it's not, they can't really lose anything more. They might lose the odd hero, but, half the universe has been destroyed. So they've got everything to gain and nothing to lose. And for me, that was like, having good deaths in this one would have made more sense. And that's why it sort of slightly disappointed me. I'm over-exaggerating the whole disappointment. I didn't hate the film. I loved the film. I thought it was amazing, but I was slightly disappointed with the end, and I felt like they could have just fucking ripped that Band-Aid off and done it. And I understand why some of them have done it, because there's a lot of people who might not know about, a lot of kids, a lot of people who aren't as nerdy about the whole universe and stuff. And so for them, it was a big ending. I understand that. But for me, it wasn't. And I felt like they shied away slightly. And that's why I wrote that piece, because I think it was an amazing film, but it could have been this absolutely monumental monolith of, oh my fucking God, what do we do with ourselves sort of film, and yeah, and that's it. That's the thing. So yeah, carry on then. we'll start off, Dave.
Right.
Are we going to tag team him here?
I'll tag it, right. Okay.
Who wants first go?
I'll have first go, please.
Okay,
Matt,
go.
the one thing about it is, Matt, do you not think, right, how can I put this? Your obsession with Game of Thrones may be clouding your enjoyment of other media, or of other films, of other TV shows.
Right, you know what?
You're upset. Because Game of Thrones. It's almost like Game of Thrones, and the need for the surprise of these mental deaths that can just come out of nowhere has given this unrealistic expectation that every single film or TV show has to have the same twists and the chance that someone could die. No one had. Well, obviously, when he clicked his fingers, people had to die to signify the fact that he'd won in a sense. But the thing you have to remember, Matt, what is the name of this film and the next film?
Well,
it's not
Infinity War
Guardians of the Galaxy. It's not Guardians of the Galaxy Infinity War. It's not Spider-Man Infinity War. It's not Black Panther Infinity War. It's Avengers Infinity War. So what they've technically done is they've taken out all of the other supplementary characters. They've taken Black Panther, they've taken Spider-Man, they've taken the Guardians out, and they've left the core Avengers team. In terms of him clicking his fingers, there's no sense that it doesn't have to be a random, okay, just click, half the people die. When he clicks his fingers, there is a choice there in a sense. It's not that just half, just random people. It's to do with the fact that they're leaving the core Avengers team, they're breaking them down, they've nothing to lose, they're left on their own, they've all lost people who they're close to. And it's making them desperate, and that's what's setting up the next film.
No, I
and
understand
in terms of the whole thing of Captain America, and say in terms of Captain America, you're saying either killing off Cap or killing off Iron Man. You can't really do that because the story of all of the Marvel films is leading up to it's been the story of those two people and their interactions, like the whole way through the Avengers. Yes, you have Thor and you've Hulk and their stories. But the core storyline the whole way through these films is the relationship between Iron Man and Captain America, them becoming friends, trusting each other, butting heads, breaking up, coming back together, and that's what will happen in the next one. So I had no issue with who they killed off. To me, it was actually more poignant because it was killing off people who were directly linking or linked to the Avengers, and it was obviously poignant and hard for them, as opposed to just going, right, just kill off Tony Stark, oh, big surprise, for a second. But then you're losing that and that potential interaction from the next film. And I think I understand where you're coming from, but I just think it is that unrealistic expectation that shows like Game of Thrones or Westworld are kind of throwing in. It's a kid's film.
Okay,
it is.
I understand, right? First off, I'll do some Facebook comments. What have we got here? We've got Rick Ward says, Meg agrees with you, Geary. I was expecting to feel some sense of loss afterwards. Instead, I kind of felt nothing. As you said, folks with sequels in the works are coming back. Daniel Burns says, ladies and gentlemen, the real question is, what happened to Howard the Duck? That is important. But yeah, okay, so I agree. I understand what you're saying. I think I allude to it partially in my article where I say that they have got rid of all the tertiary characters and they've basically got the old Avengers guys with maybe Rocket and who else is left? Nebula, yeah. And Mantis is around still, I think, as well.
Mantis is gone.
Oh, did she get?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah,
so
it was Stark and Nebula, but only two left.
Yeah. So you've got them, and so you're basically going to have, and I understand the concept of them basically having the last movie with the both of them. And I'd agree with that. That's why I wasn't sort of... I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting. And maybe it is partially because I have this unreal... I've got this feeling that, I like surprises, and, I was expecting something more because it was quite a dark film, and because Thanos was such a threat, I kind of wanted something different. And, if you look at, it's sort of irrational in a way, because if you look at all of the 10 years worth of films, even the sort of darker ones aren't really that dark. They always have a sort of ending where where you stand. So why wouldn't this be any different? But it's just for the fact that the threat level for Thanos, it made it so perfectly sort of tangible. When he basically beats on the Hulk and fucks him up with barely any sort of with ease. And things like that, this guy is the epitome, is the arch nemesis, is somebody who is literally going to chew through any Avenger one-on-one, bar maybe Thor, but even Thor, he fucked up Thor, didn't he? But without his hammer. But I just expected something more because it was building up, and there was a lot more going on. People were dying. And people you like were dying, and so I kind of built it up to the case where I was expecting there to be a darker end, sort of a Empire Strikes Back sort of thing, where you're just kind of like, oh shit, what's just happened? And then, deep down I would have known that later on in the second film something would have been remedied, but at that point I would have gone, oh shit, that X, Y, and Z are dead, and I don't know if they're actually permadead or not. Whereas with Spider-Man, it was like, I know he's got a film coming up, so I know he's coming back, which sort of signposted something. And I know, like I said, deep down, I kind of know it's going to work itself out. But it was just sort of like, they had this epic sort of thing happen in front of my eyes, this glorious, glorious film. And then at the very end, it's just like, yeah, he's dead, he's dead, he's dead. And it's just like, oh... right, okay, well, kind of know what's going to go on next and stuff, and it's like, I hope I'm completely wrong. I hope they do something completely, out there, but we kind of know what's going to happen in the next film now, don't we? It's just sort of...
Well, I mean, I think you kind of knew, in a way, what was going to happen. I mean, if anybody's read the comic books and things like that, they're going to know. The one thing that I thought, and I mean, the ending actually really did surprise me, but I don't know why it did surprise me, because I actually thought of this when I was going through the film, whenever Thanos is going around and he's collecting all the, and I know some of the comic books and things like that, so I obviously knew what happens in the comics, whether that they were going to do it the same way in the films, but the way I sort of saw it was, he has to, the Infinity Gauntlet has to get all the stones in it at some point, and it has to be used. So, in my head, it was like, yeah, this has to be used. Something bad has to happen. Now, I think what I sort of thought would be something bad. He's going to destroy the universe, and then it's going to be brought back, and it's going to have that sort of Marvel usual sort of happy ending, and that it kind of does. But then I think that's why I was kind of surprised whenever it was, for me, like, as you said, like, it's a kid's film. The only other people who've actually died in the Marvel films before this are Quicksilver, I think. Yeah. That, and for Marvel to go from, there usually is, touches a sort of, couple of deep areas every now and again. That one, in comparison, was like, it made the road look like the Brady Bunch or something like that.
It was grim, and it was in a good way. But that's the point, though. That's this thing. It's
still Marvel-esque. It's still.
It was.
I understand that. Yeah. Well, there's still some of the characters there that you can't really see. I think the ones who haven't been killed by the Infinity Gauntlet, they're ones that are permadead. I mean, that means, like, technically, Gamora, who I would have thought is a pretty pretty key character, especially the Guardians of the Galaxy. And you would think there's maybe a wee bit more to the Guardians of the Galaxy, but that's one of them gone. Now it's not been confirmed whether she's going to be coming back yet or not, but
I
you would think
basing
she died.
number 3. I think from what I've heard, the rumors of the Guardians of the Galaxy, it's meant to be based more around her. So that, again, it was just sort of... I know Guardians of the Galaxy 3 hasn't been confirmed, and the new Black Panther film hasn't been confirmed. The new Spider-Man has, but it's like, they have been talking about both of them, and with the success of Black Panther recently, it's unlikely they won't have it. I know it is a very small point, and it no way, shape, or form ruined the film for me. I just kind of wanted more. Like, I wanted something extra. And yes, it maybe is just too much. Like I'm getting used to sort of kind of fucked up shit happening in Westworld and in Game of Thrones and stuff like that. I kind of wanted something like that to happen, but it was just kind of, it felt like it was going in that direction. I felt like something like that was happening, and if we think about it, there isn't really a difference between Spider-Man, Black Panther, and people like that dying, compared to Cap or something like that dying. It's effectively the same. It's just that for me, I don't know. When I came out, it was hard to explain. I couldn't justify it with myself until after, and I'd thought about it. When it came out of the first Avengers film, I was like, oh my god, that was the fucking best thing ever. Blah 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 blah. Just like super, just psyched throughout. Infinity War, I was psyched. I was like, oh my god, this is fucking top. But at the end of it, I felt slightly subdued. And it was getting to me why I couldn't sort of go, holy shit, that was amazing. And I could only put my finger on that as one of the reasons. And it sort of slightly took, like I said, the edge off it. Like I said, I'm not insulting it as a film. It is definitely one of the best best Marvel films, if not the best one. But it needed, I just felt like it needed something more at the very end.
But I think there's one thing you're missing, Matt. This was originally one film, not two films, wasn't it? So
yeah.
They broke the film in half. So what you've got, they've kind of had to stretch the pacing out. They've rushed a bunch of it to fit into the first part. What we've got, the older Avengers that we know, they've extended their contracts, but they're kind of going. So what they've done is they've kind of done a delayed gratification thing. They've put off till next year us finding out their ultimate sort of fates. We know that Dr. Fate's coming back because that did so well. We know Black Panther's coming back. But with no Black Panther, we get maybe a bit more from Okoye and Shuri and so on, who are also big fan favourites. We also have the option that we know that of the 16.6 billion outcomes that Doctor Strange went through, one of them, obviously, that came out right, was reliant on Tony. And so it was bittersweet, wasn't it? He didn't seem particularly enthusiastic about it when he'd managed to set up to save Tony. So you kind of get the feeling that with Tony being tied to Thanos, with all those dark visions that led to Ultron and everything else, that they've kind of delayed the dark stuff and pushed it back a bit for next time. And it's almost as though because they knew people like you were going to be waiting for them to die gloriously and messily, what they've actually kind of almost done is pushed it back.
Well, I see
and
that.
Made you wait.
Well, that's the thing is, this is another issue. It's like I didn't, I like Captain America. I like Iron Man. I think they're brilliant characters. And when they end and we don't see any more of them, it's going to be upsetting. Cause I enjoy their movies. I enjoy, them as actors. Chris Evans, Robert Downey Jr., brilliant. And if they did get killed off, I'd be sad. I'd be heartbroken because I like those films. I just felt that I think it's maybe because I'm failing to envisage how the next part of the film or the next film is going to go without it basically being either it's a dream or it's the reverse time and they bring back, and then maybe Captain America or something, they sacrifice themselves to do that. Maybe it'll be like a mirror image of the first Avengers film, where basically Iron Man, where he came out of the portal and they stopped the portal basically in the first one. It'll be something along those lines, so it will mirror that. And as much could it be?
Sorry, could it be like the second one? Obviously, Age of Ultron. Do you know Stark's vision that he has of all of the Avengers lying dead?
That's kind
But
of.
again, it's the core Avengers, not anyone else.
Yes, I buy into that, but what I'm trying to say is, I think that movie, I think Infinity War as a movie set up a death for them, and I appreciate how they tie in with the rest of the movie, so in a way they can't die, but the threat and the fact that there was so much to lose and so much sort of going on, that deaths in that sort of movie would have made more sense than maybe in one where they're just trying to get back what they failed at getting in the first place. And so it's like they had everything to lose in the first one. In this next one, they don't have much to lose. It's not like Thanos is going to make anything worse, because in the end, he's not a he is a megalomaniac, but he's not the sort of bad guy who's wanting to go carry on and fuck up it. In his mind, he's done good for the universe, and so they're just
kind of the Moriarty villain.
Yeah, exactly. He's more methodical and stuff. And I think in my issue is that this next film, I don't know if they're going to be able to reach the level of Infinity War, and I think any death that goes with that one will be slightly less glorious or less sort of, it won't be as good or as meaningful when they were fighting for something that was effectively the end of the universe, whereas now it's like we're fighting just so we can get back to where we were, and it seems slightly, I can't even think of the words,
Anticlimactic.
Yeah, it's slightly anticlimactic. I'm sure it'll be good, but I feel like Infinity War, they deserve. It built up so much, and it was so much tension and so much shit. Oh my god, this guy is fucking amazing. He is going to. He can wipe the floor with any of the Avengers, any of them. They are struggling to deal with this guy, and in the next movie, it's just literally them turning. It's going to be effectively them turning back time, or something along those lines, and then them just trying to get back to square one again. And I don't think they will lose as much, and it won't be as prosaic. And I just don't know. I could be completely wrong, and I hope I am, and I hope that this next movie's just as epic. But I just don't see how it can be, because that seemed like the pinnacle, and that's where my not annoyance, where my sort of disappointment is, because I don't know if they can carry this massive sort of up. I don't know if they can carry that going for this next film.
You've missed a bit of the puzzle, though.
Yeah,
okay. You've missed, because what's the credit scene? What's the end credit scene?
Captain Marvel, isn't it? So
yeah, because Captain Marvel is being introduced as like the alpha level sort of heroine, with this idea that she's been missing since the 90s, because the film's in the 90s.
Yeah.
And so, as we've just seen, even the Hulk wouldn't come out to play anymore when you were talking about Thanos. He was like, yeah, nope, not coming out. And Thor, everything he went through still didn't work. So they've had to build this up to the point where you've got the old guard, kind of their last hurrah, trying to make everything right, because all their proteges and their new hopes have gone. And, there's all these people with all this loss going around. And then you have this sort of whirlwind come in, just saying,
Oh, Mark, have you gone?
Oh.
No.
We just lost him.
Right.
You there, Mark?
I'm there.
Thanos!
Yeah. you cut off there. What you said, like a minute.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, the
So
last
basically,
part.
I mean, from what I can say, it's almost as though they've thrown everything at Thanos, and obviously he's just wiped the floor with them. Hulk won't come out to play. Thor, everything he went through should have gone for the head. Nice try. Here we go again.
I know, but this is the point. This is the point.
All their proteges have gone, and they're all kind of really hollow and left, not sure what to go. Then they're going to throw Captain Marvel in as the new big player.
Yeah,
there's going to be some big sort of like wipeout to drag things back. They
Right.
might recast. They might not.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, go on
Yeah.
then. Yeah.
Right. Oh, cheers, Matt. Thanks before you put 50p. Before we go on to Captain Marvel, you've got to think about the fact is we've got Ant-Man and the Wasp coming out next. Now, with the talks around Ant-Man, the Wasp, and Hawkeye, I can foresee the timeline with the next Marvel film for Ant-Man having it during everything that's going on in Infinity War. This film being the bridge between this Infinity War and then the sequel coming out next year. Because don't forget, you've got Ant-Man and the Wasp, Captain Marvel, and then the second part of whatever they're going to call it. So I've been talking about this for ages, about the end credit scene for Ant-Man and the Wasp being while they're in Hank Pym's house watching Devastation, Scott gets a phone call, and it's Clint on the other side, and then it finishes there. Then we go into Captain Marvel, where it's her origins, where she's come from, how she got her abilities, the true origin story of Carol Danvers. Going into maybe Sword, the development of Sword, the Skrull War, everything like that. And then coming flash forward to her getting the page from Nick Fury. All bridges for the next part of Infinity War. So it could go delve into, like Geary's saying, time travel, stuff like that, because we have seen on-set footage of Chris Evans in his Joss Whedon Captain America outfit with these newfangled wrists technology they've got on that a lot of people have said is Sword time travel technology. So we could get that in the next two films to bridge the gap between this film and the next one. So it's anybody's game.
Yeah.
We've also
sorry.
You've also got I think people are forgetting about Adam Warlock. Gets a mention in Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
He's not coming in until after the third film.
Yeah,
It's not coming in third.
they've
Galaxy
pooped that
Guardians
bit.
As far as the comics go, from what I gather, Thanos sort of does get a bit more ambitious. I was actually talking to a friend at work today. Is like, once you've achieved something and you've got to that certain level, and you sort of sit back and go, okay, what do I do now? And then you think of a new challenge, you think of something else to do. So, what's to stop Thanos? From the comic books, he wants to become like almost like a celestial god or something like that, and that's how he ends up losing the gauntlet in the first place, and somebody else gets a hold of it.
And Nebula.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Nebula.
Who's still alive when that says a lot as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right,
So, but then the only thing is, as far as we know, Thanos has actually destroyed the gauntlet, because it's completely fried after he's used it.
he's not wearing it when he's sitting down and watching the sun. Okay, we've got a few comments here, so we'll fire through these and then I'll carry on. So Daniel Burns says, will Nebula have the gauntlet in part 2 to mirror the comics, do you think? Which is just what we've mentioned. Gizzy has said, what if the whole part of the movie after Doc Strange was looking at the possibilities? What if the end of the movie was just one of his possibilities? I think that would be sort of like a Bobby from, like, coming out of the shower going, oh, I had a horrible dream, sort of thing. And I did say that at the end of the film. I was like, what happens if Thanos just comes out of the shower? It's like, oh, I had a horrible dream or something,
Well, I've actually got a theory about the Doctor Strange, because he ends up saying there actually was no, there was no way that we were winning this anyway.
No, he said there was
So
one.
He said there's one, but later he said there was one outcome, but later on, whenever he's about to hand over the Time Stone, he says there was. He goes back on what he said earlier on. Now, I think my theory is the only outcome that they actually are successful in beating Thanos is actually losing to Thanos first.
Okay.
The old suburban commando, sometimes you got to lose to win.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Well, I buy into that. Right, we've got a load of comments here, so I'm going to have to go through these. But back to the point where we're saying, I understand how they're going to bridge into the next movie. I understand how it all is going to work. I even understand how, it could be Doctor Strange's, this is what had to happen. I still don't understand how they're going to top this film, though, because even if they do go back and bringing in Captain Marvel, she is literally one of the most powerful heroes in the Marvel universe, so it's not a challenge. Whereas they struggled against Thanos, and the struggle was real, and you could feel it, and it made it a lot more interesting. And that's why it was such a good film, because it was like there was a struggle, and you could tell they were trying to work things out to try and beat him. And I just don't understand, if you get Captain Marvel and stronger heroes and things, new technology and stuff in the next one, it's just going to go back to your normal sort of Avengers film where they maybe get roughed up a bit and then they win. I just don't think they're going to get that sort of climactic crescendo of an ending from Infinity War, and then so that's why it upsets me slightly that it's just like it's going to be like this, and then it's going to go down slightly. I could be completely wrong, but I don't see how they can top this. And I felt like it should have crescendoed more at the end of this one, just to give it that little swan song, or maybe done that.
But then even if it did crescendo or at the end of this one, then the next one's still going to be, it'll actually be more of a letdown.
But the one thing that's missing from the film itself is when you actually see Thanos has already got the Power Stone. Okay, we've got a huge chunk of Xandar that was, as Doctor Strange, it wasn't Doctor Strange, it was Star-Lord that said he completely decimated Xandar and the Nova Corps. Okay, where was that footage? Where was a flashback to see him decimating Xandar? Are they going to do Nova now? Because I know there's been whispers through the web about how Marvel Studios are now going to introduce Nova into the whole storyline, which, for myself, I can't see it happening this side of Infinity War. But I would have liked to have seen at least a flashback of Xandar being decimated by Thanos.
I think that they're saving Nova sort of like Wave 6, and they'll probably hit that as part of it. Because obviously the Skrulls and the Skrull Kree War and stuff is being brought in with Captain Marvel to bring that in. So I think the idea is to kind of, they're going to hop backwards and forwards a little bit, and because they're talking about doing a lot more cosmic stuff now, having broached it successfully with Guardians.
Maybe like bringing in like the Celestials and things like that, because they're supposed to get they go up against Thanos and get defeated as well.
Yes,
but then they may also be ducking a little bit of that. Plus, maybe they're going to redraw things anyway with the 20th Century Fox acquisition. They've got to try and think about what they're going to do about the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, all the associated stuff there. So I suspect that even some of the rumors we've got now that we're thinking about things that we think fit in, and possibly even some post-production reshoots and stuff, they may even fiddle with Infinity War Part 4 to try and set some stuff up. So it could be also that they planned it to be a big sort of anticlimax, and everything we're talking about now, they may have already superseded it.
Yeah,
they're listening to our conversations.
Yeah, but it's like I said, it was such a good movie. I really enjoyed it. I just wanted that little bit more. I wanted them to push over the edge, and again, I understand the sort of the contradiction of it all, because in a way, then you wouldn't be able to move forward into the next one. But this is how I felt coming out of it. I couldn't get myself super hyped by the ending, because it just felt like I know those guys are coming back, and it's just like, and for some reason I just couldn't get past it. It was just like, no, can't do it.
We know Gamora can come back.
Yeah, well, that's it. They all can come back, but they will come back now. We know that, but it's just like, at least sort of the more tertiary character. Like, I would have loved, I think it would just been so good. It's such a good, having Hawkeye, he hasn't been in the movie at all, and then there's like this scene, he's at home with his wife, he's playing with his kids, and in the middle of nowhere, and then suddenly he's like, oh shit, and then he maybe clutches his arm or something, and he starts to disintegrate, and you're like, oh my god, something like that would have just been fucking hell.
I to be honest, I think that would have actually tipped me over the edge, because I barely held it together whenever Spider-Man went. I was like, everybody was sort of like disappearing. Spider-Man was like, I was like, oh, something in my eye. No.
Sorry.
So I've seen some good comments about Spider-Man where they pointed out that the tragic thing about that is that he's the one that sort of noticed it coming because of his spider sense. And they said one way to interpret the way he talks about how everything hurts and he doesn't know what's going on is that he's the only person who got a real premonition of what was coming before he started to fade away. And where he's so hypersensitive, those massively enhanced senses he has, that he can feel everything.
Right, yeah.
I love the the aliens references throughout the film as well, I thought were just beautiful and just.
Have you seen this old
heartwarming.
film? Is this really old film? Shut up. Shut up.
Was there any characters, like individual characters, that sort of, where people were like let down by?
Vision.
I know some people have said about the Hulk.
Vision.
Vision.
Yeah, Vision was a bit, but I don't know if they did that on purpose. For me, like the Vision.
Vision was
bitch.
inconsistent.
They wrote him like a bitch.
Yes, they did. Like, I mean, he is actually supposed to be really, really powerful, and I know he got stabbed and everything like that at the start by, well, whatever you call him. But I mean, he didn't do anything. He was just like, you should be stronger than this. And then Black Widow comes in and like kicks these guys' asses, with barely breaking a sweat.
Yeah, it's like that.
I'm gonna steal. This is Moya's comment after she went to see it. Her first comment to me saying, Vision was about as useful as a busted condom.
Thing is, right, on the Vision thing, we'll come into some predictions after I've gone through the comments and stuff. There's loads, but the bit where what is Black Panther's sister called?
Shuri.
Sorry, yeah. So she's playing around with the, trying to get the connections between his Infinity Stone, the Mind Stone, and himself. And then she does something just before they break in. She does something, and then that's it. And then there's nothing else. So I think there's obviously something in that. Part of me kind of thinks it's like it's happened and the whole thing's just in Thanos' mind. He thinks he's doing it, but it's not really because it's the Mind Stone and they're just making them think that. But yeah, but well, no, because that would just be another sort of like, just coming out of the shower, I've had a bad dream sort of thing. Now, I don't know if that would be a good one, but there's definitely going to be something with that stone or something to do with that stone, because there's no way they would have focused on her kind of quickly doing something and then just sort of had the explosion and nothing happened. So that's going to tie in, but how it's going to go, I'm not sure. Right, okay, do some comments here quickly. So we've got Rick Ward again on Facebook. I wanted the next installment to be sorry, let me read this properly. I wanted the next installment to have me excited, thinking what happens next, but now I'm looking forward to it. But I'm just thinking, I wonder how they will come back. Unknown is more exciting in a sequel. Daniel P says it was that's what I can't speak English at the minute. What's going on? Right, let's bring this over here, Matt, so you can actually bloody see. People can see it as well. Say that's why Doctor Strange gave up the stone. He knows Tony has to live in order to have them eventually win, which we talked about. Daniel Byrne says, it would be brilliant if those future films next year would be some time before Infinity War and they don't come back. Nah. That would not be happy. Well, actually, no, I don't know. I don't think they could do that, to be honest. Well, could they? Possibly.
Well, we're already being screwed with the World Cup.
Yeah, I don't even get that.
They'd get lynched by the shareholders on principle, wouldn't they?
Yeah. Daniel Byrne says, when it came to Carol Danvers, she is meant to be the more powerful than the hero roster we know. What I want to know is how Fury hand-waved her from the previous World End events. Hand-waved? What's Fury
hand-waved?
Her from the previous world-ending events? I'm not sure what that means, but obviously gets her. Gizzy says, I think Hawkeye will feature in Ant-Man. Daniel says, I don't see them utilizing Adam Warlock like the comics.
No.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, so we'll go into some predictions then. How do we think things are going to move forward? How do we think it is going to end?
2 words: Chuck Norris.
Okay.
Chuck Norris is all the Avengers.
Yeah. I'm still wondering if, obviously we're talking about the Celestials, where was the Watcher? I was hoping to see a glimpse of at least Uatu the Watcher come into it, because I know he's supposed to be around for all spectacular and life-changing and history events, but no, not one thing.
But we've seen that thing. They jokingly put that Stan Lee is like the representative for the Watchers, isn't he? In one of the credit sequences where he was describing stuff.
Yeah, because he always gets a little sort of mention in it, but yet he can be in different universes. So that.
Was Stan Lee being a Celestial?
Yeah, there's.
Yeah. Or the help.
Okay, so predictions. How's it going to end? What are they going to do next? If you were to write the next film, how is it going to pan out for you?
Take car, go to Phil's, go to Winchester, have a nice cold pint, and the whole thing blows over.
Yes, the fourth film in the Cornetto trilogy.
Yeah, too fucking right. Yeah. I have no idea. Zack Snyder couldn't even write this one.
I suspect that we will see the classic Avengers sort of fade away or die off or something like that. But you think about it, for example, if Thor goes to reinstate as the Asgardians, look after them, hopefully we've got a certain female warrior to come in and take his place.
Valkyrie. So where did she go to?
Yeah, she's in there at all.
Where was she?
He said that he killed half the Asgardians. Yeah. So you have to assume that she was with the other half.
It's already been stated by the Russo brothers what happened before, obviously, the film starts, of Valkyrie's fate. So he's already killed Valkyrie, Korg, and Meek, and like the rest of them. They're gone.
Oh, okay. Might have missed that one.
I will link.
So they killed them off without any sort of, So you've got some pretty powerful characters there, and they're all dead.
I know, and Korg just had pamphlets printed as well.
To be fair, he probably didn't proofread them properly, so no loss.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's going to be noble deaths and sacrifices.
Yeah, well, that's it. I feel like it's going to happen. They're going to have it. But this is the whole point. I just don't know if it's going to have as much gravitas as it would have had if it was in this film. I just don't. I think you're going to have Captain Marvel's going to come back. Something's going to have to happen with the Mind Stone. There's just definitely something's going to have occurred with that.
I don't know. It might be the Soul Stone. It might be the Soul Stone becomes the key with the whole sacrificing something you love.
Or it could be the fact. I think somebody's mentioned that he realizes himself what he's done and then tries to maybe save Gamora or something.
Well, there's a bit at the end, wasn't there? On the soul plane. Was it worth it?
Yeah. What did you?
And that's
what
literally
did you
just
use?
as he's clicked his fingers.
Everything. Yeah. And
that's the Red Skull.
So it could be that maybe he does it himself, but then if he does it himself, then there's nothing really to defeat because he's realised that he's been a bad boy and he's reversed everything. So it can't be that completely. But it's like he's just sitting there on his stoop with his 40, and his paper bag, going one for my homies or one for half of the universe, and then the rest of the Avengers who are left turn up and go, "What the fuck, bro?" Reverse time. He's like, "Nah, I've done a good thing here, bros," and they're all like, "No, bro, you haven't. You need to reverse time." And he's like, "No way, you got to fight me for that." And then they fight him, and then they sort of make him do it. They like twist his arm around his back, and go, say uncle, and then he reverses time, and that's it.
See, so we've turned Thanos into a baller now. This is worse than Orvis saying that he wanted Thanos to become like after the music a Hugh Hefner looking person, showing us his life story of how he came to be.
We're not going to talk about Orvis. I just finished listening to their last podcast in Pitch Please, and they spend the first 20 minutes talking about Rasputin's penis. It's like apparently it's in some like Polish museum or something. It's just like, wow, that's just really random. But yeah,
it couldn't be any worse than the Infinity War vibrators that I've been seeing popping up all over the internet.
Oh
God!
Yeah, so like, I just want somebody. I want somebody to explain to me how they can top this film and make it better. You know, it just sort of,
Kevin Feige, if you're listening, get in touch.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel bad because I'm not dissing the film as a whole. I am not saying that it is a bad film. There's a lot of people going, "What the fuck, man?" And I'm just like, no, I'm not saying it's a bad film. I loved it. I really did. It's definitely at the top. I just couldn't reconcile myself with the end. Just, you know,
You're pretty much saying that, you know, that if it was an end film, you know, it would have been good, as in, and making it a bit darker, and then that's cutting it at that. But I mean, either way, if they did make it darker and they did kill off certain people, it's still going to have the second part to it, which is, you know, it still leaves the same issue, as you still leaves the same question that you're asking, is that how are they going to improve on that?
Yeah.
Which, you know, that's a fair question. You know, I mean,
I suppose
It could never have been a satisfying conclusion because it's halfway through. And that's the problem. Even if it's 2/3 of the way through and they stretch the last third, it was never going to be a proper satisfying conclusion because you know it's part one.
I feel like more appreciation could be done as well for Peter Dinklage's character in Infinity War, because even though it's a small part, no pun intended, he does actually play a very big role as Eitri.
I didn't like his accent. It sort of annoyed me.
It did seem a little bit
like Peter
forced at
Dinklage.
points.
Yeah.
I know, but that was the kind of funny thing, because like, it's Peter Dinklage pretending to be Peter Dinklage.
Dinklage. Yeah.
But I was just going, I guessed since they said that he was going to be Infinity War, that he'd actually be one of the dwarves to forge Stormbreaker. And the amount of people I had going, oh no, he's probably going to be Pip the Troll or some kind of voice actor. And forever I kept screaming that he'd probably be Eitri. And then as soon as he came on screen, I was like, yeah, screw you, nerdist.
I was voting for a special guest appearance by Alpha Flight with him playing Puck, but that's me.
Can't have Alpha Flight in a non-Fox film? What's the matter with you?
Rick Ward says Cap and Iron Man, after the whole Civil War conflict, will band together and be sacrificial lambs to fix the universe, which I can see happening. I think, like you said, it sort of ties into the thing. They're going to have, basically, they've had this big conflagration, this split. They were the best of mates to start off with. It's going to be a mirror to the first Avengers film in a way. So you've basically got the first Avengers film, Civil War, which is split in the middle, and then this one, which is going to be the end, and it's going to be the reconciliation and then the sacrifice at the end. But the sacrifice,
and the future.
And then the future, and then moving on to the future, and it will be great. I just the
St. John's Ambulance of films.
Yeah. We've got.
Do you not think that the best thing about Infinity War is the fact that for the first time in a long time, it's a film, whether it's, you know, the Marvel or DC, it's a film where it's split into two parts and there's a confirmed sequel coming up, but literally I'm struggling, and I'm sure a lot of other people, as we've sort of mentioned, are struggling to think what they're going to do next, which when you look at a lot of these films, there's always, you know, what's going to happen. You know, like you knew whenever Age of Ultron, you knew what was coming up next, right? They're leading up to Thanos. They're leading up to the Infinity War. But I'm actually sitting and I'm struggling to think of what they will do. There's, you know, we all have our theories, but to me, it's refreshing that it's there's a film coming out. I can't wait to see it. I'm really excited, but I haven't a clue. I haven't a baldy what they're going to do.
Well, no, that is
You know?
that is a good point. You know, it's the first out of all of these movies that we've probably had this big long conversation about. The other ones, like you said, they've sort of, you knew what was going to happen. You've had your end credits scene. You kind of knew where you were going next and where you're coming. Whereas this one's like, apart from, you know, a Captain Marvel film, you're like, where the fuck are we going from here? So in that way, yes, it is, and it's the unknown, and that's that is definitely a good thing, because you're like, it causes discussion, and it causes you to, you know, question things, and that is a good thing. So I agree. Yes, I just can't give myself past that part. I feel like I just wanted something else, and I don't know if I would have ever been happy. I'm just one of those sorts. I don't know, but
He didn't kill them all, so you aren't going to be happy then because you've been Game of Throning.
Yeah, well, it's not even kill them all, but it's just like, I think, like I said, I reckon, if I could work around getting the second part, because that's where the issue's going to be, sorting out the second part. But if if they're going to reverse time anyway, so it doesn't really matter who dies in the first one. But I just felt like a few of the more tertiary characters, like because when Quicksilver died, nobody thought, oh, he's coming back. Everybody's like, shit, he's dead, because he's a tertiary character, and it's not like nobody cares, but it's just like, there needs to be some casualty. So if they had a few more of those, and maybe just
I don't know, Matt. I don't know. I mean, I actually went back and watched Age of Ultron quite recently, and I don't know. Quicksilver dying is actually quite a shock. I know you're saying like it's a tertiary character, but they'd introduced there really hadn't been a sense of death in any of the Marvel films before. And to have a main character who had joined the Avengers and was helping them out die, it was actually pretty shocking when he died.
I found with Age of Ultron, it was kind of Hawkeye he got a lot more sort of exposure, and the reason whenever I first went to see it, I was sort of thinking they're setting him up to be killed off.
Him off. Yeah.
And at the end, you almost think that he's going to die as well, or something like that, or you think that he's going to die, helping Quicksilver or something like that. So yeah, I mean, I'm with Dave. It's like I actually was quite surprised whenever Quicksilver died.
You got one of those sort of war tropes. Did you ever watch, like, this is completely off topic, but it sort of reminded me of it, but did you ever watch a series on TV called Tour of Duty? And it was like a Vietnam series.
Yep.
Yeah. I loved
Painted
that.
black.
Yeah, it had to paint the black soundtrack. I loved that series.
2:00 in the morning.
Yeah, it was amazing. I loved it, yeah. But what I found really amusing about it was you'd have a character in it who didn't have a word to say throughout the entire series, and then suddenly there would be an episode where he's talking loads and lots is going on, and you're like,
yeah, I gotta die.
You're so dead. it's like there's like the doctor in it, and the doctor literally has a few words now and again throughout the series, and then suddenly it's like the doctor's like, I'm going home tomorrow, and I'm going to do this. It's like, dude, you are so dead right now. It's like you've just fucking you've just dug your own grave there, son, by having major dialogue.
Do you not think it's like? Have you ever seen Hot Shots?
Yes.
Dead Meat from Hot Shots.
Yeah.
The whole way through the film, they set his character up, and it's like, oh, you need to sign these life insurance forms. Oh, I'll sign them when I get back. Don't worry, it's okay.
Yeah.
And that evidence about
Black
how
cat,
the person who killed JFK. Oh, I'll read it when I get back. Don't worry about it.
But I mean, that's what I thought with Age of Ultron, because like with Hawkeye, they bring him in, they sort of find out that he's got a family, and usually like as soon as you find out that somebody's got a family and kids and things like that, it's like, oh, you're dead, because it just makes you sort of feel a bit more for them and everything like that, and it's like that, like you said, that's what it felt like it was doing it the whole way through that film. He got a lot more sort of like comical quips and everything like that, whereas in the previous films, Hawkeye didn't really, people were sort of thinking Hawkeye's kind of crap. I watching Age of Ultron, I was like, I really like Hawkeye as a character.
I like characters who have no superpowers. I think in the way the struggle's better when you've got somebody who has to try. That's why Black Widow and Hawkeye are good characters, because they don't have superpowers. That's why everybody loves Batman and things like that, and Iron Man, because they're not superpowered. They're just super smart, or really good rich. With rich, super smart and super rich.
Bow hunting skills and Wolverine hunting skills.
We've got a few other people on comments. Rick Ward says, I don't know if it's just me, but is Tyrion's Forge? I'm sure I spotted another gauntlet for the right hand. Maybe as a hand giveth, the other taketh away. I don't know if that was actually their hand. I think that might have been the mold.
It was the mold.
It was the mold, yeah. Gary's there. Hello, Gary.
Hello, Gary. Daniel Byrne says to Rick Ward, didn't Hela mention the one in Odin's gallery is fake?
It's fake. It's fake.
Maybe Hand Gauntlet was a prototype of that one. And then Daniel Byrne says, Matt Geary's Infinity Red Wedding. How fucked up would that be? If you want to mess your kids up, let's go and see this. Holy shit! Everybody you've ever loved is dead. All of them, and they're not coming back, kids. That was they're not coming back. It should have just been an end credit with George R.R. Martin laughing. Written by George R.R. Martin, and then just him laughing at the end. It's like, no, he's done it again.
Matt,
There was one thing.
Yes.
Sorry. One thing we haven't mentioned.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about that kick-ass fight scene with Black Widow and Okoye and so on. The all-female fight scene in the middle of the battle.
What is she doing up there?
Oh, is that the one where like with like the big sort of they fire the guy? I don't even know the name of the thing they were fighting. Was it
Obsidian?
Obsidian, yeah.
Obsidian Black.
Fires her off into that big rolling sort of like
Yeah.
It was very reminiscent of Phantom Menace, that whole sort of dome, and then hordes of guys attacking it and stuff.
But I thought it was so unusual. They get so much grief for not having strong female characters and minimize them. So they just threw 4 of them at each other with lots of special effects and stuff, and they squidged, and then they just blended at the end.
Yeah.
Will it blend? Yes, she will.
But yeah,
There was one thing that I saw today. Actually, I don't know if anybody else saw this, but there's actually a video of Mark Ruffalo actually spoiling. But this is before Infinity War.
Yes.
I only saw this
Don
today,
Cheadle.
and I was like,
Don Cheadle.
"Holy shit, that is such that is." He's you should watch it because his reaction, I'm sure maybe at the time that it sort of could have been played off as, oh yeah, they're just messing this up, but they're just having a bit of banter about this. But his reaction is just like, holy shit, I'm so in trouble for what I've just said, sort of thing.
What does he say? What does he say?
Well, hold on, let's see if we can get the link for it. But he pretty much said he's talking about
Everybody dies.
Thor Ragnarok, and he's like, yeah, some people die in that, and he goes, if you think that's bad, would you see the next one? Everyone dies, and Don Cheadle just goes, what the fuck, man? And he's like, it's really, really. It's really uncomfortable to watch. You're just like, and he's sort of like, should we get off the subject? And he's like, well, stop focusing on the subject. And he's like, am I in trouble? It's mental. You should watch it.
You were just waiting for the voiceover with, it is at this moment that Mark Ruffalo realized he'd fucked up.
I'll link that up in there actually because it's quite.
I just coming to sort of going on to. We'll have to finish soon because we've been on for about an hour and 15 minutes, but. The Hulk. Let's talk about the Hulk now. A lot of people
Trailers are liars.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. So they've changed. Well, that's a good thing. I think they're throwing stuff out there to try and keep people off the scent because they know what's going to happen. People will sort of make you got
Uncle
the nerd.
Pop's line.
Yeah,
Yes.
but for me, the Hulk, I don't think he should be scared of anything, even if he's beating at something, because he is. As the comics go, he's super powerful, and at one point in time, he pretty much takes over the world. I think in the Old Man Logan thing, I think he's taken over the world and stuff, isn't it? But it's just like him sort of refusing to come out, and sort of even in Thor Ragnarok, where he's a bit more comical and a bit more like, yeah, I don't care, what the fuck. Didn't sort of smack to me of what the Hulk is as this rage monster, or he's just unadulterated sort of pure bestial anger and stuff. It was just sort of like another alter ego.
Give him a break. It's the first time he's actually had his ass handed to him with somebody who is the same height as him, and literally within a space of 2 to 3 minutes,
I know, but
has his ass handed to him.
The Hulk is invulnerable. The guy can't die. He's invulnerable, and the fact that
he can be cut by adamantium, and in Incredible Hulk, Abomination does cut through him with one of his elbow claws or whatever, because it's made of the same stuff.
Right, but you basically you've got a guy who is pretty much invulnerable. So throughout, you're not gonna. He's not scared of anything. It's like. You have something where if let's say if you're super angry, yeah, I want you to think about it. If you are if you are in one of those moods where you just fucking want to let go, nothing scares you, even if you get your ass handed to you, because your rage is just so unquenchable, and that's what the Hulk is.
Haven't they already contradicted that in a sense? This is almost like an alternative Hulk, because if you look at the first Avengers, when Banner gives away the fact that I'm always angry, and then it gives away the fact that he can turn into the Hulk when he wants to, as opposed to from the Incredible Hulk movie, or in the majority of the comics where he has no control over when he can actually turn into the Hulk. It's around anger, and it's around him trying to keep calm. But the first Avenger, he goes, I'm always angry, and he turns himself into the Hulk to stop the big sort of flying creature thing. Is that not almost like it's kind of contradicting the whole sense of he needs to be angry, and he's always angry? He's not always angry. It's just
I suppose he is different, because he's not as in this one he can control himself a bit more. Yeah.
Whereas, he's not a force of nature.
Yeah, he can control himself more, so I guess I understand that. It's a completely different sort of arc, in a way.
I sort of see it actually more of him being out, him being able to turn into the Hulk whenever he wants and everything like that is a form of him being in control. The way I sort of see the Hulk is like as a big child, and kids are stubborn. So they're not, they can be angry and they can go crazy and everything like that, and they can be completely out of control. And then whenever, sometimes they'll do what they're told and sometimes they won't. And I think that's kind of, the sort of thing is like he's literally just had the crap kicked out of him, and he's being asked to sort of like do something, and he doesn't want to do it because it's like, no, I didn't like that what happened last time, so I'm not going to do it. It's nothing to do with being angry or anything like that. It's just being stubborn, being childish.
Well, sorry, I do apologize. Going back to what you said about the Incredible Hulk being a different Hulk, if you look at the last few minutes of Incredible Hulk with Ed Norton, when he's actually doing the meditation, and as he opens his eyes again, his eyes are green again, and he's got the smile on his face, like he's learning to control when he can and cannot turn into Hulk. So it's kind of a continuation into I'm always angry.
Did Edward Norton refuse to do the Avengers, or
he wanted more money?
I wanted more money.
Right. Sounds it, diva.
Yeah.
Well, yes, he wanted to be top billing with Robert Downey Jr., and they were having none of it. So Mark Ruffalo kind of came on board, which I'm happy about, to be honest.
Yeah, he makes a really good. Hulk or Banner as well. Okay. Right. Okay. Before we go, does anybody else have any last words they want to say on the film?
Pirate Angel.
There was what?
Pirate Angel.
Neil Scott says David Hasselhoff would have made a great Hulk. He'd bring real style to the role.
Oh, yeah. No. There was only one fault that I had with the film.
Okay.
The film, which is now my sort of still, I'd probably say my fourth favorite Marvel film.
Ooh, interesting. Fourth. We'll have to give it... Okay, what's number one?
Winter Soldier.
Yeah, that was amazing. Yeah. Number two.
Thor Ragnarok.
Really?
Incredible.
Really?
Yes, it's incredible.
Okay, where's number three? Avengers.
No, Civil War, probably number three.
Ooh, interesting. Very interesting. I liked Thor Ragnarok, but ooh.
No, Thor Ragnarok. I was actually I was mentioning to my girlfriend. The more that I watch Thor Ragnarok, the more that I grow to love it, and the closer it edges to Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier is the ultimate because it's the James Bond secret agent of superhero films. It's incredible. Everything about it is phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's so different than everything else, and that's why I love it. But Ragnarok is just growing closer and closer to it. It's everything. It's the tone. It's the cinematography. It's the natural chemistry of Chris Hemsworth is one of the best comedic actors in the world right now. He's incredible, and it's the sort of the him and Tom Hiddleston, and even we call her Kate Blanchett is fantastic in it as well, with that sort of comedic edge. It just works incredibly well. What I was about to say was the one fault that I had with this was that when Thor came back with Stormbreaker, they should have been playing Led Zeppelin. That scene would have been
the immigrant song. Yeah.
The immigrant song. It would have made that scene a million times better. With him
about Lord of the Rings, that song actually. There you go.
Yep.
Query. Did anyone notice that Hila's now a Disney princess? Because think about who her dad is.
Awesome.
Amazing.
I really wanted Michael Penna's Luis from Ant-Man to basically summarize what's been happening since Ant-Man up until Infinity War, just to lay it out for everybody what's going on. It's like, you know what I'm saying? I'm just getting really excited, and this is what's been happening. And I would have loved it if he would just come on screen before the entire film and just started rolling with it about everything so far. I would have campaigned to hell for that.
Okay. Before we go, I'm going to hit all of these. I want one sort of one bad point, if you can find anything, even if it's a small niggle, obviously, about the film, and the best part of that film for you. So, Infinity War talking about, obviously. So Mark, your bad point, if any.
Bad point probably. It's probably just going to come back to, I was really hoping to see Cap with the proper shield again.
Yeah.
Yes, the shield.
That iconic thing. He still had the harness on and everything. No shield.
But the only thing is about this one, he's not actually Captain America. He's Steve Rogers.
He was technically he's technically Nomad. Sure. I think that's where they go on to. He turns into Nomad.
They were hinting Nomad, weren't they? But yeah. I would have just loved that just to have him sort of going into battle with all that going on with the proper shield, not the little hand shields. I think was my little I love to have seen just for that iconic moment. As for the best bit, I don't know. I think possibly Spider-Man.
Just in general, Spider-Man.
Yeah, I just think that it felt better. It felt like he'd moved on, and he had that sort of the rebellious streak. Just try to get rid of him. He keeps coming back. He contributes, and he just, even with his delight in all these weird and wonderful things he keeps finding in the suit, it just felt so enthusiastic and so positive.
Okay, Dave. So you had your bad point.
Well, no, I was kind of joking. I think the only bad point that I had, I don't know, it was maybe just a screening that I was in, but I think the first battle between Iron Man, Strange, Spider-Man, and I remember his name, but the big sort of guy
Wong.
from Proxima Black. Yeah, I thought it was a bit sort of, the cinematography was a bit shaky and a bit weird, and it kind of took me out of the moment in terms of the fight. Do you know that when Stark's walking out of the New York, out of Doctor Strange's
sanctuary,
and everything's going mental. I don't know. It's something about it that whole scene I think was a bit sort of shaky. It was a bit in terms of the way it was filmed, and that's me really nitpicking. In terms of the best scene, I think it was the moment that really got me sort of like fist pumping, like, oh fuck yeah, when Cap catches Proxima Midnight's spear.
That was cool. That was good.
Which
I like
obviously
in
the comics,
I like the more bearded Cap.
Oh fuck yeah. Which in the comics, no one can actually hold that spear bar Proxima Midnight. So when he caught it, it was like, fuck yeah. I just love Cap coming back. Look, fucking awesome. Because Cap, out of all of the Marvel films, the most blandest character in Marvel history has become the best character in the Marvel films. Yeah. Cap America has been phenomenal, and Chris Evans has been a massive part of that.
Yeah. Okay, Josh.
Favorite parts.
Go worst part first.
The worst part first. Okay. I think Mantis has become a bit role, whereas we've seen her in Guardians 2. She was quite broad. She had a really good character basis, but in this one, she's just kind of been, little small parts. And I thought I wanted to see more of her because Mantis is a great Guardian.
Yeah.
Best parts to see the range of the Sorcerer Supreme. His abilities have grown so much since Doctor Strange. And just to see him unleash his full potential was just amazing.
Is there he seems to have this sort of dislike of Iron Man or Stark? Is there sort of do they in the comics? Because I'm not, I haven't read loads of the comics, unfortunately. But
it's personalities.
Personality clashes. It's not actually because the actors dislike each other or anything. And
no. Strange and Stark have always been a clash because obviously they're part of a group called the Illuminati, and they've always had big heads, and they've always clashed with their personalities. Stark being, the eccentric playboy, while Doctor Strange has always been the headstrong Sorcerer Supreme. Look at me. Yeah. So yeah, they'll always clash.
Yeah, I kind of like that sort of friction. It was quite good. Okay, Michael, bad part.
It has to be Vision. It's not even just the character. It was more the sort of inconsistencies of the powers that he's got. I actually, loads of people sort of said, he didn't really do much. I know in like the comics and things like that, he sort of goes off and he starts having a family and everything like that, and he starts becoming more human. I actually quite like that, sort of going down that route. But then whenever it came to the part where they're getting attacked by Proxima Black, he just got his ass kicked, and he's actually a really, really powerful character. He destroyed Ultron, with the big laser from his forehead, and yet he couldn't fight, a few of these guys. And as I said earlier on, fair enough. Like, not saying that they're weak, but they're different types of sort of fighters. You got Black Widow and everything came along and kicked their asses, pretty easily. I know he did get injured at one point, but it just didn't really fit for me. It just seemed very inconsistent, in comparison to how he's been in previous films. Best. There's so many in it. Like there was Thor. I thought had the best comedy lines and things like that. Maybe close followed by Drax and his slow movement and his visibility and all that sort of thing. Yeah, there for an hour. But personally, I think Thanos was just phenomenal. I think everybody agrees. I love seeing a really, really good bad guy. And you sort of compared him to the Joker. He's in a way he's.
Josh Brolin did a really good job.
I thought he was fantastic. I like the fact that he, as everybody said, he's got real reason behind, and he believes in what he's doing. Whether it is a bit crazy, but I mean, and you do sympathize for him. But see, whenever it came to whenever he sort of had to realize that he had to sacrifice Gamora, and you see him actually upset, and it's I actually felt really bad for him. It was really started sort of getting a wee bit heart-wrenching for me and everything. And I almost to the point where Gamora's oh, you can't do it or anything like that, and it was almost ha, in your face, bitch. You're going off this cliff in a second. I actually kind of felt more for.
Yeah, because you felt good. He's just trying to bring her up. And knowing, because obviously I have effectively adopted children to deal with, my girlfriend's two kids, and having the ungrateful child, giving you grief, and you're just I'm just trying to do the best for you, child. I'm trying to be a good daddy in a way, and you're just giving me shit. It's so here you go, we can throw you off the cliff.
Thanos was phenomenal. The whole way through the film. I know, before whenever the trailers first came out, they were started sort of mocking what he looked like and things like that. And I think there was a couple of jokes made about having a scrotum for a chin or something like that. I can't remember.
It's like Peter Griffin. He's got balls for chin. He's got balls for chins. But yeah, okay. For me, we know my sort of gripe. So as much as we threshed it out, and I kind of understand. Well, I know I understand, but it's still, for me, that was just a lot of the other stuff didn't really bother me. Hulk not coming out kind of bothered me slightly, but I understood it. That bit at the end, I just couldn't really get past it in a way. I felt like other people dying could have helped it forward more. But again, like we've said, how would it worked into the next film? But the best part for me was when Thanos clicks his fingers. Basically, that part when he says, "You should have gone for the head," and he clicks his fingers. I was like, "Fuck!" I was like, "Whoa! What the fuck?" And I was like, "That was amazing." And it was just like him sitting on the, literally just sitting on the stoop, looking out at the sun. I was just like, "That's dark, man. That's really good." And that for me was the big moment. I was just like, that was the payoff. And I was just like, yeah. In general, Thanos as a bad guy was fucking amazing. I like the multi-layered bad guys. I don't, bad guys who are just out, like, who are kind of comical in a way, and they're bad guy tropes when they just do stuff because that's what bad guys do. I liked the fact that you had a bad guy who had layers to him, who you could, he had, like I said in the article, it's sort of like, you can tell he's a bit bemused by some of the people below him and stuff. He's kind of fair in a way, in a weird way, and he's sort of like, where he says, I'll give you the stone if you let Stark live, and he says no tricks, and he's like no, and so he gives him, and he lets him live. He just, he's powerful enough. He could have probably taken it and eventually killed all of them, but he didn't. Like,
yeah. He shows respect for, there's times where he could have killed people and stuff like that, and yet he lets them live. He probably sort of thinks, well, yeah, he could kill them now, but if he reaches his goal, it gives them the chance to live. It gives them, a sort of 50-50 sort of chance of dying or living or whatever, based on the whole, chaos theory.
Like when he says he liked Star-Lord.
Yeah.
And boyfriend.
In the end, you've got like sort of a guy who, in the grand scheme of things, isn't really that bothered by what's happening to him. The only true threat to him is probably Thor, with what would have been Mjolnir. How do you pronounce that? Mjolnir. Yeah. Or so really he doesn't have any sort of equals, and so all these other Avengers sort of attacking him. It's like, maybe a lot of bees or wasps or something. It can be painful. It's slightly annoying, but it's not really a threat, and therefore, killing them unneedlessly is really just sort of a waste of power and stuff. And he's not really that interested. In the end, it's just another step to move on to his end goal.
The fact that like the whole way through the film, up until whenever Thor puts the axe into him, the only injury that he actually gets is like a small cut to the face by Iron Man, and he's like, all that for a drop of blood.
Yeah. And it's just like, epic, really good. I have to say Avengers is my favorite one. Just because it was the first time where you had all of them, and I thought that was amazing. Then I got Winter Soldier, but I think that this Infinity War would definitely be up there with Winter Soldier. I think it's definitely sort of teetering. That would have possibly been number one had I sort of got my Red Wedding ending, but it just sort of
fucking Game of Thrones, man. Let it go.
I can't, man. I can't. Okay.
Speaking of Winter Soldier, how many of you laughed your asses off at that scene in the battle with Bucky and Rocket?
Oh, when he picked him up and started spinning him around?
Yeah. Well, how much for that gun? It's what for sale. I'm going to have that arm.
Yeah. Amazing. Oh, man. Really good.
And the eye. You don't know how I got that eye out.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, it's been an hour and a half now, so yeah, very, very good podcast, guys. Eventually got there, so, thank Thanos, we didn't get wiped out. So thanks everybody who's been watching. We've had a fair few watchers tonight as well, which has been good. Thanks to Sir Daniel and Daniel B, to Meg, to Neil, to all the people, to Rick Ward, to everybody who has commented. Thank you very much for your comments. It's been a very good conversation. We've fleshed out quite a lot.
We'll get some complaints, no doubt.
Yeah.
One last thing is everybody should type in www.didthanoskill.me. Didthanoskill.me.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's do that now then, shall we?
I survived.
I was slain.
What did
www.didthanoskill.me.
kill
Spared.
What have we got? God damn it! You were slain
died,
by
you
Thanos for the good of the universe. I'm a dead man. Oh well. There you go.
But did Michael escape? Was it a 50-50 gearing?
No, I got wiped out as well.
God damn it! What about you, Foy boy?
Oh, I survived.
He survives. Josh.
Yep.
Oh, I'm surviving.
What about you, Mark?
Survived.
Well, I suppose that's about 50-50 in the podcast, technically. So there you go. It makes sense, you know. There you go. But yeah, thank you very much, everybody, for listening. Again, if you are listening onto the podcast later on, please share it with your friends. Give us a like if you're on YouTube or Twitch, and a follow. And we will be back hopefully next week with some other random talk, probably with Mike Orvis talking about penises. But there we go. So yeah, so for tonight, I've been Matt Geary. Mark Canty has been Mark Canty.
And still not talking about X-Wing.
Oh shit! Yeah, we need to talk about X-Wing. That'll be next week. We'll talk about X-Wing next week. Yeah. Dave Foy has been Dave Foy.
See ya.
Josh Varney has been Josh Varney.
Adios.
And Michael Geary has been Michael Geary.
Laters.
Cheers, everybody, and good night.
Cheers, guys.
Adios.
Bye.